So today we are starting a dangerous project wherein we attempt to see if the internet has fooled me about a book. In celebration of April Fool's Day, I am doing a collaboration with many other booktubers. You will see the playlist, and all the folks participating are linked below, so please, please, please take some time to go check out their videos as well. But yeah, so today we're finding out what book I'm going to choose. I am looking for a book that is legitimately popular on TikTok. So it's not just my sense of things, it's the reality. And let's see where this journey takes us, shall we? Okay, let's find out what I'm gonna read. So I found this article that breaks down the most popular BookTok books by state. And I feel like I can use this as the basis for finding the book. Now, going into this, my guesses are that it's going to be Coho, it's going to be Sarah J. Maas, it's going to be, oh God, what else? Like some of those YA big ones that have kind of come back around. So like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like I want to say like I've seen people reading Divergent and the Hunger Games again from BookTok. The Song of Achilles, I'm assuming, is going to be on here. Maybe Zodiac Academy, The Atlas Six. So like we're trying to find the one. And I'm trying to balance, like, I don't know. If it's a Coho, we're going to have to think long and hard about my ethics on this one. Because I just can't, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to, like, depending on if that's who I am theoretically supposed to read, we're going to have to do some, like, soul searching on if I want to platform something that is already incredibly popular. I don't know. Okay, anyway, let's react here. So, as you can see, oh, The Summer I Turned Pretty, there you go. We've got some Colleen Hoover just in this little graphic. So this has been updated within, as of this filming, like within the last week, and it was originally published less than 6 months ago. So I feel like this is a pretty like current assessment of what is popular on BookTok. So, okay, key findings. Romance, fantasy, and young adult are the top BookTok genres. That aligns with what I've seen. Colleen Hoover and Jennifer L. Armentrout are the top authors. Interesting. I've read one Jennifer L. Armentrout. I didn't think it was good, but I didn't think it was like the worst thing I've ever encountered. It was sort of just like, I don't know. Like, it just reminded me a lot of mediocre KU romance, which, hey, I'm not here to disparage because I enjoy some mediocre KU fantasy romance. The best-selling TikTok... Okay, here... Oh, these from the image are the top ones. It Ends With Us, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and Ugly Love. Interesting. Okay, I would not have guessed The Summer I Turned Pretty. And older books published 10 plus years ago are seeing a resurgence. I do anecdotally observe that there is a lot of like books that were popular when I was first starting to watch BookTube seem to still be popular over on BookTok, which I think is interesting and shows like the enduring legacy and power of books that even, you know, that they come back around. Okay, strap in here. The most popular BookTok books and authors. For BookTok community members, reading is all about finding stories that captivate their audience's emotions, particularly their sense of romance. The top 5 best-selling books are due to TikTok are nearly all romances, and 2 of them share the same author. So, okay, these, based on Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, and Google data, they're saying this is the top 8. Okay, I'm somewhat surprised by this. I would have definitely thought ACOTAR would be on here. So It Ends With Us, The Summer I Turned Pretty, Ugly Love, The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gilroy. That is really interesting to me. I would not have guessed that would be in the top 10, much less the top 4. The Hunger Games, that checks out with what I was saying about some of the like older YA fantasy coming back. HEARTSTOPPER, that actually makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about it, but that does make a lot of sense because I definitely have seen that all over the place. The Duke and I make sense with the Bridgerton-ness. they both die in the end. A little bit of an older YA pick, but not, I mean, you know, within the last few years. Interesting. Okay, here's Song of Achilles, and there's ACOTAR. Okay, so it is in the top 10. So I'm going to tell you my initial impressions. If I were going to be like making a full-on TBR, I would be picking probably a Coho. The Wedding, well, again, this gets in, maybe. Okay, theoretically I'd pick a Coho. The Wedding Date, Heartstopper, The Duke and I, Song of Achilles, and ACOTAR. Like, those feel like the ones that I would pick. It's going to be harder for me to narrow this down. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do more than one book or if I truly am going to read, like, here's the one book I'm reading for this. I don't know. We're making that decision together. Okay, The Book Thief, which I've read and I thought was fine. Book of Night, yes, Holly Black is very popular, so that makes sense. Yeah, written in the stars, like oh, interesting. I have that, but I think I wrapped that up as a part of my wrap TBR. It Starts With Us and Verity, those are two more Cohos. From Blood and Ash, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I've read and enjoyed. Throne of Glass. Fun story about Throne of Glass. I actually tried to read it back when it was first released because I just thought the premise sounded cool and I didn't like the writing, so that's why I didn't finish it. So I didn't specifically not read it because of Sarah J. Maas. I just, at the time, did not enjoy it. We Were Liars, I thought was meh. But I think it's a good first thriller. Like, I think this is a good YA thriller because it kind of introduces some of the tropes. I don't even know what the cheat sheet is. The Hating Game, The Midnight Library, which I think needs a lot of content warnings and people recommend way too lightly. But whatever. Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I thought was fine. Like, I don't totally understand why that book was the book. I think I couldn't get over how distracting the politics in it were. One Last Stop, that's another Casey McQuiston, and Book Lovers, Emily Henry. This is so interesting. I don't know that this would have been the list I would have guessed. I mean, clearly I did guess some of these, but there are some definite surprises in terms of the books on here and the ranking. Okay, so these are the top 5, of which I have read 1. And of the 4 that I haven't read, I don't really want to read The Wedding Date because I frankly don't like some of the things Jasmine Gilroy has said. Like, it's just been a little off-putting, but I have heard it's a pretty good book. Summer I Turned Pretty, I just don't tend to like YA contemporary romance, so meh, and then Coho. Okay, BookTok has popularized the romance genre with Gen Z readers, which I love to see. I love that I feel like BookTok has made it, I don't know, like acceptable for people to talk about that they are romance readers, especially younger people. I think that that's really positive, and I love, even if I don't like the ones BookTok is pushing forward, I do like and appreciate that. I think it's making it more like socially acceptable to be a romance reader and not have people like make weird comments to you if you're reading it in public. Okay, of the top 55 books analyzed, 24 were in romance, 12 fantasy, 8 YA, 6 thriller, 4 historical fiction. Interesting. Colleen Hoover is the standout author on BookTok. We know. So the most popular authors are Jennifer L. Armentrout and Coho. And then here are some of the others. Emily Henry, I know some people don't always think of her books as being as romance. Like, romance readers, I think, sometimes wish that Emily Henry was more romance forward, I guess, or like that her writing was more representative of most genre romance. I get that. I do really like Emily Henry, and I think she's a really good, like, bridging book for people. I am kind of surprised that there's not more from Sarah J. Maas, I'm going to be honest. Anyway, this is a very interesting list now that I'm looking at it, because I do see the Olivia Blake. I see some of the things I would expect and other things I wouldn't, so I think that's really interesting. The most popular BookTok books by state. So Tennessee, Ugly Love, of course it is. Where else have I lived? Maybe I have better representation. Devil House, I think that's John Darnielle. Light Lark, oh god. And then I lived in Vancouver, so If We Were Villains. Oh yeah, If We Were Villains is a popular one on BookTok. Anyway, okay, so this is me just basically like stalling. I appreciate, methodology. Look at this. This is a great article, by the way. Thank you, Matt Zajowski, I think is how you say this. He's a marketing specialist in digital marketing. Great article. I will link this in the description. Okay, so here's my... Okay, let's do some research here on what the synopses for these cohos are, because if it's just like on its face abusive, I just don't want to read it, which I think Ugly Love is. Like, I think that's the whole point, is that it's like an abusive love situation. Oh, that's right. I know the plot of this, and I will not read it. I know I'm gonna hate it, and so there's no mystery about if I'm gonna like it. Okay, I'm only going to pick books if I think that there is a world in which I could at least moderately enjoy it. And I just don't think that's true for Ugly Love. Let's try a different one though and see. Maybe there's a synopsis in here somewhere that maybe I could like. Lily hasn't always had it easy. Okay, small town. Gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid. Everything in Lily's life. Also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. Complete aversion to relationships. No date. What? No, this is a love triangle with people who don't... I hate the trope of men who don't want to be in relationships, but like the girl... no, I won't like... I don't think there's a world where I could even remotely like it. So no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Well, that feels kind of freeing, I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess Verity is the only other one that I should check out, because maybe I think it's a thriller, so maybe this would be more okay. Writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books. Okay, his injured wife is unable to finish. Notes and outlines. When Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of what really happened the day her daughter died. Oh, whoa. Okay, so basically, if I'm reading this synopsis correctly, she is falling in love with a married man. The injured wife, however, did something terrible to their daughter, and so she's gonna show him the manuscript so that he knows how awful his wife is. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. This might be a version of Coho that I can get down with, because it sounds like it's a messy romance, but maybe mess I could enjoy. Am I gonna read a Colleen Hoover book, guys? Is that what's gonna happen? So here's where my thought is as of right now. Maybe I could read Verity. Like, this thing seems like one I could read, but it's number 15, which is pretty low on this top 25 list. I do think there's a world where I could have dumb fun with ACOTAR. I don't think that I would love it, but so the only book I've read, okay, let me stop screen recording. Okay, I'm just talking to you guys. The only thing I've read and finished from Sarah J. Maas was A Court of Frost and Starlight, because it was short and I just wanted to get like a taste of what her writing style was. And I thought it was just fine. I was shocked that anybody would pay hardback prices for it. I will be honest there. But it was okay. So maybe I could see that's the one that I'm like, that feels like the right one to pick, in the sense of I do think that there's a world where I think it's fine. Or I just like have fun with it, like dumb fun with it. But Verity, I don't know what I would think of it. So that feels more enticing. And then the one of these top picks that I think I genuinely could like is Heartstopper. Like, I don't really know what it's about, but I've had a number of people recommend it to me. So I feel like people like this almost won. I did a bracket last fall where I let people like vote on which books I should read. And this one made it like, I think, past the first round. It was one of the recommendations. And like, I think there's a world where I like this book. So this is the one that it's like, the whole idea of this is, did BookTok fool me? This is one where I don't think that they did. So part of me, am I thinking about this too much? Maybe I'm thinking about this too much. But part of me wants to make this a 3-book TBR, where I have one where I'm almost certain BookTok fooled me, which is Verity. One where I could see it going either way, which is ACOTAR, and one where I'm pretty sure it didn't, which is HEARTSTOPPER. So I'm torn. I'm torn if I should do all three, or if maybe I should just do HEARTSTOPPER and Verity, one where I do think that they probably fooled me and one where I don't. So I'm not sure. That's where I'm at right now. I'll check back in with you guys once I've made some decisions and procured whatever book or books I'm going to read. Also, Verity, I am very seriously considering Verity, because at least on the surface of what it's describing, it doesn't sound like it's intrinsically describing an abusive relationship, which is the main thing I would not want to like endorse from Coho. So it just sounds like it's a mess. And I can get on board with mess if it's not abusive. I don't know. Okay, anyway. We'll talk again once I actually know. I've been filming so long. This took so much longer. I'll talk to you once I know what I'm reading. Okay, guys. I am in possession of the books. So, 3 books that I'm only gonna read 2 of, because I've been talking about it with my collaborators, and I don't think anybody's reading 3. I think that's a little overkill compared to what everybody else is doing, so I'm gonna take out ACOTAR, and I don't know, it's actually not as long as I thought it was going to be, so if you guys are really hot to trot on me reading this, let me know, and maybe I'll make that a separate video. But we've got 2 books left, and I'm gonna save this as the palette cleanser after I read this, because it's shorter, it's like a graphic novel, and I'm expecting I'm really gonna like this, so I'm gonna save this as a palette cleanser about 2 crazy kids falling in love, boy meets boy, should be cute. So we'll save this as the palette cleanser and say a prayer. God help me. We're gonna read Verity. Luckily, it's not that long. It's 314 pages. And I want to say it came out while I was on BookTube. Yeah, 2018. So maybe it's a little better than the earlier ones. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to keep neutral expectations, because it's possible that this could be campy nonsense that I enjoy. Like, I see that as a possible outcome. I'm skeptical about Coho as an entity. So wish me luck. We'll see. Check back in once I get going on this. Today's the day. We're gonna be getting into this. I don't know if this is gonna be one where I have to read it in one day to make myself finish, or if I'm gonna splice it out over multiple, but let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping best case scenario is camp. I think I'll have a good time. So let's manifest that for this experience. Also, I went to grab a bookmark from my pile, and the first one I pulled out is a Verity themed one from Book Depository. So love that for me. Matchy matchy. Oh my gosh, guys. Okay. Where to even start with this book? This book is not good. But the ways that it's not good are multi-layered and not quite what I thought I might discover. Quick warning, the first little section of this is gonna be me ranting in a not specific spoilery way, but like more than what you'd get from the back cover. So like, if you're sensitive to spoilers, just don't watch any of this. But then I'll go to a specific spoilery rant about things that I thought were absolutely stupid in this that made me mad. So I'll put it on the screen when we're in which section. So I should tell you, my thoughts that there was a world where I could have liked this book, that stands. Because if this hadn't been so blatantly anti-choice and anti-woman, I would argue, I could see this being an entertaining book. Let me just go ahead and knock off my hypotheses that were wrong though. I don't get the writing thing. I thought that might be what was driving this being so loved, was that the writing was really compelling. No, I don't think that's the case, guys. The writing is generously, I'm gonna say pedestrian, but honestly, I think the writing's actually pretty bad. It's in the present tense, so that does add some like propulsiveness to it, but the writing is not good and it's not bingeable. Like I was expecting to be like, yummy, yummy candy. Like the way that Dan Brown's writing is not good, but I keep turning the pages because it's yummy, yummy candy. No, like this I thought was not good and not super readable or super compelling. So I don't understand that. Then I thought that my second layer of hypothesis is, oh, people just love, people love a love story. So do I. I'm a big romance reader. I love a romantic story. But no, neither of the romances depicted in this are compelling or interesting, or I don't know. So I don't think what's compelling people. I'm wondering if this is like baby's first thriller kind of a thing. So people who grew up reading Colleen Hoover, or like got into reading Colleen Hoover when they were in their late teens, early 20s, are graduating to a erotic suspense thriller kind of thing. And maybe in that world, this would at all be interesting, unique, compelling. I don't know. Maybe. But it wasn't for me, and it doesn't go anywhere interesting. The quote-unquote twist it has, I don't think is a good one, and I don't understand this. Why this book? The author I kind of want to put this book in dialogue with, from a romance perspective, would be like Mink or Jessa Kane. If this had not tried to thrill me, and had just been like a dark, taboo, KU romance, this could be like a 2.5 campy good time. But the thing about Mink and Jessa Kane is that there's always the wink to the audience. There's always the acknowledgement of like, this is absolutely batshit crazy, right? This is absolutely problematic, dark, not good, not actually romantic, but we're all you and I, we're suspending our disbelief and we're going on this ride together. There's always that wink to the audience that I personally need to enjoy a darker, romantic kind of story. There's none of that. Like, Colleen Hoover ain't winking at no one. She ain't winking at me, she ain't winking at you. Like, she thinks this is good, I guess. I mean, I don't know her. And I don't want to get too deep into authorial intent, but from what I can tell, the perspective of the novel this is not romantic or sexy or thrilling. This is just sort of camp, and we're all going along for the ride. There's nothing in the authorial posture or voice or narration that makes me think that. There's nothing in this that makes me think that Colleen Hoover knows that Lowen is the drippiest, wettest blanket of all time, who she shouldn't even be in this book. Our main character should not even be a character in this story. And I guess, so up till now, I'll try to like put tags on the screen. Up till now, we've been talking about this in kind of general-ish terms, like a little more specific than what you're gonna get from the back of the cover, but like not my full-on spoilers. Okay, let's go to the spoilers. Two things that I think are unforgivable in this. One is that this is anti-choice propaganda. This is basically, Verity is painted to be a horrible person. Whether or not the manuscript is real or not, the position of the manuscript and the intended effect on the audience is that she's a horrible person for not wanting to have children and trying to have an abortion. And she should have this, and we should think she's bad because her partner is obsessed with having kids and values these children more than he values her, at least from her point of view. So like, that makes her a bad person, that she doesn't want to have these children. Now, I'm not saying that once the children are born that she should kill them. Like, I'm not saying that. I was watching my little rant back to make sure it made any kind of sense, and I think to say more clearly what my problem is, I think it is offensive and distasteful that the text seems to be equating somebody who attempts to have an abortion to somebody who would then naturally go on to murder their children. And I think that even if you believe, which I do not, even if you believe that abortion is some form of murder, I think most people who have lived in the world would agree that even if somebody had a failed abortion, if they went on to have that child and raise that child, I don't think it is reasonable to assume that they would dispose of the children that they have. And that is the problem that I have with the way this is being portrayed, is it feels to me like the text is insinuating that somebody who would attempt to have an abortion is the kind of person who would then go on to murder their children. which I just think is, like I said, distasteful, offensive, and untrue. She is treated like her villainy is rooted in anti-choice propaganda, IMO. And I'm not down with that. The other thing that is absolutely ridiculous is that there's no way she could be pretending to be in a coma like this. There's no way. Like, show me the brain scans. Show me the, she's rich and she's having in-home nurse care and she doesn't have doctors who can't fucking tell that she's not actually brain dead? What? That is so stupid. So stupid. And it doesn't matter if Jeremy is the bad guy or not. Jeremy is a bad guy. I already knew that because whether or not it was his intent, he clearly made his partner feel like he only valued her for her sex, like their sexual connection and her ability to produce children for him. That in my book is not a great guy. Sorry. So I think probably least charitable Mara possible. She got to the end of this book and was like, this isn't that interesting. If I throw this letter in, that'll at least be a little something extra to spice things up. I think that the book overall believes that autobiography is real and that Verity is a murderous, horrible person, which we could tell right from the jump as soon as she didn't want to have children. Okay, thus endeth my spoilery, ranty part of this. I also just don't like how the sex component of this is handled. It doesn't feel sexy or erotic. There's so much of it and none of it doesn't feel like sex that's actually centered on anything positive. For how much sex is in this book, this feels incredibly sex negative. This feels like incredibly regressive attitudes towards sex, gender dynamics, all of it I don't like, and all of it is not sexy. If I want to, a little sexy smutty, but this is not what I'm gonna recommend to you, okay? This is about making sex transactional. This is about giving people blowjobs as rewards. This is about thinking your only worth in a relationship is your ability to be completely sexually permissive to your partner at all times and all scenarios. This completely is a flop. It's a flop artistically, which is not that surprising. It's a flop entertainment-wise, which does surprise me. I don't even understand the entertainment factor of this. And it's a flop in any kind of genre, surprise, enjoyment, whatever. This is bad. Hot take, Mara thinks that Coho is bad. If this is the one that I think I'm most likely to like, and the one that I've seen the most praise from non-Coho fans, God help us with the other books in this woman's oeuvre. But luckily, I'll never have to cross that bridge because I ain't ever gonna read another one. If this is supposed to be one of the better ones, God help you with Ugly Love or It Ends With Us or whatever no. So the question, is BookTok fooling you about this? Yes, they are. What the fuck? I am so absolutely not. No, thank you. Now we're gonna palate cleanse because I believe that Heartstopper is not fooling me. I think that's gonna be lovely and pure and not gender regressive and essentializing women to their reproductive utility. I am looking forward to that. So I'll catch back up with you once I've finished it. I am delighted to report that indeed, the internet did not fool me about this one. This one was delightful. This was just very, I don't know, this captures the feeling of being in high school and having a crush so well. It just was really precious and wholesome. And I am a little icked out sometimes when people talk about male-male romances in those terms, especially if it's by someone who is a femme or a woman and or being read by femme/women. The dynamics there, I think, can get a little I don't know quite the way to put it, but desexualizing the context of a male-male relationship to make women readers more comfortable. So I get a little question mark about too many books described as wholesome that are with two male leads. But in this case, I think that it's appropriate because these are teenagers, these are high schoolers, and this is really about having a crush and what that feels like. And I just feel like they capture that feeling of just young and unsure and you have a crush, but does the other person like you back? And in this case, there's the additional layer of one of our characters isn't sure if the other one is into guys. And so, I don't know. And the other guy is just kind of discovering he's into guys in a new way. So I don't know. I just thought that this was so sweet, and I can totally see why people love this. I don't know that I'm compelled to continue in this one, but I did think that it was very like wholesome and romantic. Like, it's sweet, it's romantic, like it's just, it captures the feeling of being young and in love very well. So, did not fool me about this. Tried to fool me about this, but you got. Listen, okay. This was great. 4 stars. Recommend. This I am genuinely baffled by now that I have encountered it. The only thing I can think is that if you were into Colleen Hoover's romantic melodrama and you had never, like, you've not really gotten into a thriller that much before, maybe this would feel exciting. But I also should caveat that this is a domestic suspense, which is like kind of my least favorite version of a thriller. So it may also just be that it's not my kind of thriller on top of it being a not good book, but this is one that I'm perplexed by. If this is what Colleen Hoover's writing is always like, I don't understand. I was expecting it to be like a guilty, crackalicious pleasure. You know, there's any number of authors out there whose writing I'm not going to argue is great, but that there is just something really bingeable. Like Kristen Ashley, that's an example where the writing is by any measure not good, but it is so propulsive. Like, there's something that if it clicks in your brain, it just sucks you in. And I don't see that in this at all. So I'm confused why Colleen Hoover? Why this? I remain fooled and perplexed. I discourage you from reading this. It's distasteful, not entertaining, and not a good version of his genre. So like a triple threat, really. Goodbye. Bye. I hope you guys are happy. I did suffer at least a little bit in this one, though not as much as in the last collab. But with that being said, this was our April Fool's Day collab. When you are seeing this, a bunch of us are posting videos with the same kind of concept of popular books from the internet. Are they fooling us or not? So please make sure you check out everyone who participated in this collab. We're really enjoying having some collabs on this scale going on. It's nice for creator community building, and I think you guys also enjoy it. So please check out the playlist. I will have that linked in the description box, and I'll also try to remember to put that in a card somewhere. So please go check out that playlist. Yeah, I think that will do it for this one. So let me know if you have read Colleen Hoover. I would be, at this point, I am now genuinely curious, because we all have our problematic faves. If this is something you liked, why? Like, I usually feel like I can at least get it, and I don't get it. So would love to hear from people why. If you've not read any Colleen Hoover, do you have any impressions about her? And if you loved Heartstopper, please also let me know that, because I thought that was just adorable. So let me know all that in the comments. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!